decision. I'll face the sunny side head on. I had a vision of what it might be like.
What's up, everybody? We have a special guest in studio. It was really hard to book her. It took months and months. We had to get our people in touch with her people, but we finally made it happen. We have Elby in studio.
Hello.
Hi, Elby.
Hi.
You know what? It was kind of hard because between school and her job, it's not always easy.
It's not easy. Yeah. But
Busy life.
congratulations.
Thank
Let me be the first to say
Thank you.
On behalf of everybody listening, I'm sure everybody is, I know a lot of people were rooting for you and pulling for you. And I don't know, I knew you could do it. I wasn't.
I wanted to hope that when it was all coming out. I was
sure.
like, I got this, but
Right.
Here we
in
are.
the
Here
thick
we
of
are.
it, and being in the thick of it and having your mom and of course, but as an outsider and hearing the updates, I'm like, oh yeah, she's got this. She's got it in the bag. You know.
But it was rough going for a while, and I was trying to remember exactly where you were in the process when you came on last time. She came on as kind of a cautionary tale,
right.
of like not going for an impacted major and you came. I think you told the story about going on the tour of UC Santa Cruz and hating it, and having made the decision that you're going to try to do community college for 1 year.
Yeah.
And you were hopeful, but we couldn't remember if she'd even done her applications yet, redone her applications.
I don't think so.
I was saying I feel like I hadn't. I feel like I had just started at Pierce.
Now, see, I kind of feel like you had, because hadn't we already got you the essay coach?
We might have. I feel maybe I was working on them. I feel like I hadn't finished them. Like I feel like they weren't done.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, I'm going to tell you guys this about Elby. She's back, baby. Her optimism, her personality, she's back.
Now, what was it like, Elby, when it was, I know that it was got to be hard, and we don't have to go through that, like with last year when your friends were leaving. But, when you enrolled in Pierce and everything, like, did you go like, okay, I think I got this, like I can get it done in a year.
Yeah, I mean, like, starting out, it was definitely horrible. It was very isolating because I was so, in my head. I had convinced myself after starting, I was like, because I catastrophized, so I was like, oh, this is going to be terrible. I have no friends. Like, this is awful. I thought it was going to be a lot more work than it was, too. I think I was talking about that. I thought it was going to be so much work, and I was just going to be drowning in all of this homework, and I was going to just be at school and at work, which was what I did in high school. So I was very worried that it was going to be back in the high school cycle of school, work, sit at home, and do homework, and that was it. And honestly, it wasn't super far from that, but it was not as bad as I thought it was going to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah, were the classes, did you find them hard?
I was going to say, I ended up loving a lot of my classes. First of all, it was really not that much work. I thought it was going to be a lot of work, but professors are somehow more relaxed than high school teachers.
Yeah, it was a different...
They assign slightly less. They give you more structure. Like in high school, I found that they would give us an assignment and then it would be due in 2 days and we would have to sit there and do it. Whereas my teachers, you have all your assignments. Like from the get-go, you have due dates. They'll send you emails saying, hey, saw that you haven't turned this in yet. Just letting you know. Like for my exams and stuff like that, they'll send me a little message being like, hey, just giving you a warning, you haven't turned this in yet. Want to give you enough time. If you forget to turn, I've obviously forgotten to turn in a few assignments, but I don't normally do that. And so instead of being like, oh, well, that's a 0. Sorry about it. I'll email my teacher and they'll be like, oh my gosh, no worries. I know that you don't normally not turn in assignments. I just reopened it for you. Here you go. And I'll get full credit. So the school itself has really not been nearly as bad as I thought it was. And honestly, the classes that I take in person are my sociology classes, which are my favorite classes. And I've gotten very lucky with both of my professors that I've gotten. So it's like fun going to class. Like I'll be sitting in class actually wanting to be there, unlike high school, which I dreaded.
That's great though. Well, and you're studying what is interesting to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then so before we go on to what the next steps are, what is your dream job? Like if you had your dream job.
So I have always been very set on going into like therapy or social work. Now I'm kind of not more unsure, but I just know just from looking at other majors and like talking to even my mom about stuff, I know that there's like a lot of other things out there that I would want to do. So obviously in college, like I want to like take some other classes that are just more fun and kind of let me explore some other things. But for now, I definitely like want to do something related to social work, especially with kids. I've always worked with kids, worked at camp, worked at, laser tag. I've always wanted to do stuff with kids because I don't know why, but I'm more patient with kids and I enjoy working with them, even if they're insane. Which, speaking from experience, some of the craziest kids, in my cabins have been some of my favorites. So I don't know. I feel like that's been always something that I wanted to work with.
Oh, that's great.
Be a teacher too.
That's true. That's true. Although,
or a professor and work with older kids.
Work with
like
older
your
kids.
Age.
Yeah.
Tell us about, because our audience has heard it from me, but the process of, okay, once I know you went through kind of a dark period, right? But when you were having to do your applications, you did not want to.
Yeah. It was definitely just very, what's the word? Is it undemotivating? I don't know.
Demotivating? Anti-motivating?
I don't know what the word is, but I had no motivation for a while because I was still kind of getting out of that slump. Again, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's definitely not a good feeling seeing every single one of your friends posting on social media about the amazing time that they're having in college, which you're not getting because I wasn't getting that. As much as I don't think I hated community college, but I definitely wasn't going out all the time. There was definitely not that social aspect of it still, which I was worried about, and it was true. Not saying it wasn't worth it, totally worth it. But it was definitely, I had a lot of FOMO seeing all of that. And the isolating part is that I was doing all these applications for a second time, not knowing if it was going to work out a second time. So in my head, there's two sides to me. One side of me is you have to do really well in these applications because you do have a chance. And I know that it doesn't feel like it, but you're being told that you have an even better chance of getting into these schools. But then the other side of me is well, what's the point? If I work this hard again and I'm faced with this much disappointment again, it's going to be 20 times worse than it was the first time. It's going to be awful.
And I was scared too.
Yeah.
As her mom. But also, you had found out that you couldn't tag Santa Barbara.
Yes.
And you were not in the TAP program.
Yes. That was the worst of it because as we've talked about, my mom is more of she'll ask about stuff. She'll ask about deadlines and things, whereas I am more of a type of person. I have a little less anxiety about that. So I'm the type of person where my counselor will tell me something and I'll be great. I'm going to listen to what they told me. I'm going to do what they told me, and I'm going to expect that it works out like that. And also, I don't know what I don't know, so I can't ask something that I don't know to ask about. So I met with...
But I will ask 100 times
right.
about the thing that somebody already said until they go, oh, wait, maybe I was wrong. And then I'm I told you.
See, I don't like to question them. I'm that's your job, girl. I trust you. I trust you. I trust that you're telling me the right thing. Even I shouldn't have done that because my second counselor told me completely different stuff than my first counselor. So that should have been my first red flag. But I was just so like in my head, and I was like, okay, I need to do it exactly as they're telling me. So my counselor told me to sign up for these honors classes, right? That we made this whole, I was so proud of myself. I had made an appointment with my counselor. We made a whole, what they call an SEP, a student ed plan. And I was sitting there and I was like, all right, I got all my classes lined up. I'm going to tag Santa Barbara. I have my 5 honors classes lined up.
That's called Transfer Alliance Guarantee,
Transfer
right?
Admission Guarantee.
Okay.
So just a brief, if you have a certain GPA and you take a certain amount of classes, you can fill out this application and basically get guaranteed admission to one of the UCs.
But not UCLA.
Only certain ones. It's only Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara, Santa Cruz,
Irvine,
Riverside.
So it's not Berkeley, UCLA, San Diego.
Right.
Okay.
Or Davis, question mark?
Right, or Davis.
Davis.
Yeah. Oh, you can tag Davis.
You can tag Davis, right? But obviously, Santa Barbara being my top school last year, I was like, hell yeah, like I'm going to tag Santa Barbara. Like that's the best fallback plan. Like even if I don't get anywhere, I'm still going to be going to the school that I wanted to the most last year.
Right.
So my counselor was like, perfect. She didn't mention anything about a separate application for the tag, like, which I feel like would be something that you mention right off the bat. I feel like you're like, yo, this is super important that you fill this out. Make sure you fill this out ASAP. Mm-hmm. Nothing about that. Nothing.
I mean, what is with I think they go on autopilot or something, and they just go from kid to kid to kid, and they forget or
they expect
what is the excuse?
They expect that I know, like they expect that
well, that's why we hire them.
And I think the problem too is that because I did it in a year, I had a lot less time to kind of figure out all this information. Like normally throughout the year, instead of applying to colleges, people in their first year are meeting with counselors every couple months to discuss their plan for the next year. Whereas I was already in the next year. I was in my only year. So I had a couple meetings with counselors in the beginning, and then it was on to applications. Like I had no time. And so I found out that the tag deadline was September 30th. I found this out in November. I was like going with my counselor, and I had met with the first counselor. We had done the whole plan. You know, I think I maybe met with the second one too. Mm-hmm. And she went back and like changed a few things. She like tweaked a few things. And she was like, okay, on the website for the school, you'll see a list of all of these honors classes. You can cross-check them too. These are all considered honors classes that you're taking. And I was like, perfect. I'd gotten myself into the honors program too. I'd done that earlier in the year.
So, and let me just say, the reason to be in the honors program is it has nothing to do with the tag. It's called TAP.
Oh, yes.
And that's the Transfer Alliance. Preferential or something.
It's for
UCLA.
Right.
You take honors classes, and then if you're in this program, and it gives you a
it gives you a second major. It gives you priority admission to the school, and then it also gives you, on top of that, it gives you, they consider both of your majors equally. So you have to submit an alternate major on your application. UCLA will consider both of your majors equally. So if they don't like you for one, they'll consider you equally for the other one.
Got it.
Like, I guess doubles your chances if you have good coursework. So I took all these classes that were supposedly honors classes, and then I met with a counselor a third time right before I was going to be starting my applications, because I was like, okay, I really need to sit down and like figure out what I'm putting on my application, how everything works, like how the tag works, right? Because to my knowledge, the tag is part of the UC application. Mm-hmm. And I go on there, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to be doing the TAP program. And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, how are you doing the TAP program? And I was like, oh, well, you know, I mean, on my ed plan, like all these classes were honors classes. And she was like, they're showing up as regular on your transcript. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, they're honors classes? And she goes, yeah, well, they have a version that's honors, but you have to sign up for that separately, like a different way.
Oh my God.
Than just signing up for normal classes. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, are you serious? You're telling me that, and it was too late, by the way. I had already finished.
You'd already completed a couple
I
of
had
those
already
classes.
finished some of the classes.
Oh my
and
God.
I didn't have time to go back to add more honors classes. There was no way. Basically, there was no way for me to get the 5 honors classes.
Right.
Like, this was the only way if I had signed up for those originally. So I was like, oh my God, like, I can't. And then either that meeting or maybe a few days later, another counselor was like, oh yeah, you're not tagging the deadline passed in September. And I was like, what? Like, how I should have done more research, but how did I not know any of this? Like, I don't, because I had started the tag application, I think, like way beforehand, but I thought that it was basically called the transfer admission planner. So I thought that that was just like for me, like I thought that that was just helping me line up everything, and I can like cross everything, and then I actually submit the application on the UC application. Nope.
No. Oh
So
my
that
God.
day you were in tears.
Oh, devastated.
Well, I
about
mean,
the
you
tap.
kept like getting knocked down. This poor kid.
Yeah.
And then she found out that the tag was also not happening. So then she was like, oh my God, I have no guarantee. This feels like free falling. I don't know what's going to happen. But your counselor had told you that your application looked good. But we didn't, and you could very feasibly get in places anyway. But did we believe them?
So I had a few counselors tell me, no, your application still looks really good. Like, I wouldn't worry too much. The counselor that broke the news to me about the TAP program had even told me herself. She was like, you are probably the best person for this to happen to, because there have been a lot of kids that this have happened to that don't have that much coursework.
Right.
They don't really know what they want to do. They're not that prepped for their major otherwise. They don't, I don't want to say don't have a lot going for them, because that just sounds brutal. But, she was saying that, this has happened to a lot of kids that didn't have as high of a chance in the first place. So she was like, your application still looks really good, especially for your major. So, I mean, they would only consider you for this major anyways. So she was like, I wouldn't be too worried. And then I had another counselor that in the transfer center that was helping me on my application. She was telling me, like all of this looks really good together, like blah, blah, blah. So I wanted to believe them. But at the same time, my first college counselor had just been like, oh yeah, you're a gold girl. Like you're fine. Your application looks really good. You're super competitive. And then I got rejected from everywhere.
You were shell shocked.
So I was like, I don't know who I'm supposed to believe. Like, I don't know if I should trust that.
Then you didn't feel motivated on the applications to do the essays, because you had to redo essays.
Yep.
Then we had a power struggle about that.
Yeah.
What was the deal with all these different counselors? Are they're just at the center?
Yeah,
You just go
so
and talk to
the ones that
whoever's
I was talking to originally, the problem is I don't have any like assigned counselor at Pierce. I did have one in high school, but I don't have any assigned counselors in college. So I just kind of have to schedule meetings and pray that I get somebody that knows what they're talking about.
Right.
But for my actual application, I was kind of scared to do this, but thankfully my mom got me to do it. I went into the transfer center a few times, and there's people in there that are literally just in there to look at your application and help you with your application for transferring to UCs.
Oh, that's good to know.
But we had some arguments about it, where I was like, you need to go in there tomorrow. And she would be like, all right.
I was not having it. I was like, oh my God, just please. Like, I can't.
It's too much. It's a lot.
I felt bad because I was just like, I knew it was necessary, which is why I was so struggling, because I was like, I need to hear about this because I know I'm not going to do it if I don't. But I was like, I am so tired of hearing about this all the time. Like, I think I will literally rip my hair out of my head if one more person mentions application. I was like, I can't do it. I legitimately can't do it anymore.
Right.
It's like, I'm done.
Let's take a quick break and then come back and hear what happened. What happened? So when you were having to do your essays, you were like, hell, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
But then we got you an essay coach.
Yeah.
Was that helpful?
It was super helpful. It was super helpful because not only did it not only was it just helpful for tweaking my essays, but it also made me feel better about the work I was doing, because when she would give me a correction and then I'd fix it and she'd be like, oh, that's perfect. Or she would say like, this is really good. And also she had given me information that I didn't know about before. So I thought I had unlocked some secret code. I was like, okay, here we go. Like now I know what I'm supposed to be writing for. And it was a lot different than I wrote my essays the first time. Like the first time I kind of tried to do some storytelling stuff and make them very like, I don't know, like
creative.
Whereas I didn't realize that the UCs don't really care that much about that. Like they want your personality. They do. You can be a little funny in there, but they want it to be structured. Like they just, they want you to get to the point. They don't want all this like big thing just to get to the point at the very end. Like they want you to give a little backstory, get to the point, and then talk about the point a lot, which I didn't realize. And she gave me a lot of really good advice and just like corrections on my essays that she would tell me stuff. And she also helped me build some from like the ground. Like I originally had sent her, I would say like a draft of two of them, where one of them I'm pretty sure I had bullet points. I hadn't even started writing it because that one I was more unsure about the concept. The other ones I was more sure about the concept and less of the writing. That one I was like, I don't know if the concept. And she was like, no, I love it. This is going to make a really good essay. Here's what you should talk about in this. Like, here's how you should structure it. So I followed that. Super helpful.
And what was her name again?
Melissa.
I put her in our. I posted her information.
I will actually.
And it's just that the essay coach is just to strictly help you with the essay, and then that's
inexpensive.
Exactly.
By the way, it was.
And you
for
put
us.
her name.
Is it Melissa?
Yeah.
Amaral?
Yeah, Amaral. Yeah, she has a website.
She's the best.
I got her from my friend Laura. Listen, what I do is, I go to the Go-Getter Mom and go, who did you use? And I was like, I need somebody who can help with the UC stuff. But she's an overall,
right.
She has a whole college counselor thing, but it's not like one of these ones. It's not like the ones that we used where it's for their whole process. They have a thing where they just help you with essays.
Yeah.
And so
my kids are going to need that at some point.
Yeah, and they just had a Zoom. She just did it over Zoom, or you can just send her the stuff and she would make notes.
I was going to say, what I did first is before I had a Zoom with her, because I hadn't fully written some of my essays yet, I wanted to save that for when they were fully written. I emailed her all my drafts, and she went on like Google Docs and gave me suggestions and comments and corrections and things like that. And then I took all of them, wrote a draft for all the essays. Like I made sure that all 4 of them had drafts. And then I hopped on a Zoom with her and we chatted for like an hour. And she just gave me tons of super helpful advice. She was like, honestly, I really like this essay, but I don't think that this part is necessary. I think you need to expand more on this part and take this part out completely. Or no, you took this part out, but I think you should keep that in. Stuff like that. Super helpful. So by the end of it, I'd had my essays checked by an essay coach. I'd had them read over by one of the counselors in the transfer center who was super nice. So by the end of it, I definitely felt more confident with my essays because I had so many people that were qualified to look over them and told me this is good work.
But so you get your applications in. It's only the end of November.
Yeah.
Now you got December, January, February, March, April. What did that feel like? And how did you get through that time?
I would say that the first month is very relieving just because they're done. So I'm not even thinking about where I'm getting in for the first month. I'm just like, woohoo. Yeah. No more applications. Right. I don't have to do that. Now I can just focus on my classes and work.
Right.
And I was like, that's all done. But then that feeling kind of starts to wear off and then it starts to get daunting and you're just like, oh, Well, now I don't know where I'm going. And you feel very stuck for a while is the problem. I felt, as my mom and I like to call it, in limbo. I was just kind of
like a purgatory
in between. I was like, I have no idea where I'm going to college. And by no idea, I have no clue. I don't even have an idea of where I'm supposed to get in. Mm-hmm. I don't find out about any of these colleges for months. And it started getting to the point where seniors were finding out where they were going to college. And I was just hearing all this stuff where I know it doesn't really apply to transfers, but it's still scary to hear, oh my God, every single one of these people got rejected to the school. Like it's super hard this year. I'm just like, oh God, like, is that going to apply to me? Like, I don't know where I'm getting in. And on top of that, I don't really have a lot of friends that are transferring at the same time as me. So I really did not have that many people to talk about with. I have a few. Definitely have a few. But I didn't have that many people to kind of deliberate with and be like in this together with, if that makes sense. I have my one friend who I work with too, who was also in it. And she was definitely the closest to my situation because she did it in a year. She was doing what I'd say is the worst part is I found out that sociology is still an impacted major, not as impacted as psychology at all. Mm-hmm. But there are some websites.
Still one of the top majors.
Still one of the top majors, which I didn't realize. And there's this website called Assist. Use it for all y'all listening. Use Assist if you want to figure this out. Your counselors will go through it with you. But I used Assist to kind of give myself an idea of what courses I need to take. And so they basically show you an agreement between your community college and the college that you're looking at. Mm-hmm. So for me, I would go, Los Angeles, Pierce College, articulation agreement with University of California, Los Angeles. And it tells you the classes that you need for your major requirement that you need in order to transfer. And it tells you what classes at UCLA correlate to what classes at Pierce. And at the top, when you're looking at your major, you have to do it by major. It said in all caps, this is a highly selective major. Wow. And I was like, oh God.
Oh my God.
Oh God, not again. I was like, not again. I cannot do this. So it was definitely a bad feeling because it was hard to feel confident, especially because of what happened last year. I didn't know the feeling of like getting into a school that I'd really wanted to go to. I'd never had that happen to me before, so it was very much just kind of felt like my impending doom of like,
So the first one comes in, and that was San Diego State.
Yes, I found out about SDSU while I was going to Beyond Wonderland, going to my rave in my teeny little outfit. In my little Airbnb with my friend, and she's in the middle of doing my hair, and I get an email from SDSU, and it was on my phone, and oh my God, my heart dropped to my feet. I was like, oh God, this is it. Oh God, this is it. I was like, if I get rejected, it's over. It's over. I was like, if I get rejected, I'm not getting in anywhere. Like, that was my mindset. That wasn't true, but that was my mindset. I was like, it's over for me if I don't get in here. And I got rejected last year, so I was like, oh no, like bracing myself. So, I go through the email, I open it. I didn't even think I was going to be able to see it because I don't know my login off the top of my head, so I thought I was going to have to log in. But you open the email, and I was like, I was with my friend Kira. I was like, Kira, SDSU just came out. Oh my God. And she was like, are you going to open it? And I was like, I have to. I have to. So I open it, I click it, and instead of saying, we regret to inform you, there's like a little video. And I was like, and I click it, and those little green screens that you get at the beginning of a trailer, like a movie trailer, where it says like viewer discretion advised.
Oh yeah.
Instead of viewer discretion advised, it says a little viewer excitement advised. And I was like,
cute.
And then it goes and it's like, congratulations, you've been admitted. And I just dropped. I was like, oh my I got an SDSU. And Kira's like jumping up and down, and I FaceTime my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I got an SDSU. I was like, oh my God. I was smiling the rest of the day. I was like, I'm going to college.
Finally.
Finally
a bit of good news.
But then a roller coaster, because you didn't tell me this until after.
So like a week or two later, I got waitlisted at Cal Poly SLO, and I was like, wow. If I get waitlisted at Cal Poly SLO, I'm not. And I was really sad about it, but I was just kind of leaving it for a bit. And then I was like really sad one day. My mom was like, there's something wrong with you. Like, what, are you good? And I was like, yeah, I got waitlisted at Cal Poly SLO. So I'm not really feeling hopeful for college. And don't get me wrong, Cal Poly SLO is a super hard school to get into. But I was like, if I get waitlisted at Cal Poly SLO, what are my results going to be for like UCLA? Or I wasn't super set on going to Berkeley. But as much as I tried not to, I had all my eggs in the UCLA basket. Like, that's all I could think about.
Yeah.
Especially because I didn't have a guarantee anywhere. I couldn't really think about Santa Barbara being my fallback because I didn't even know if I was getting in there. So I was just like, oh God, this is not a good sign. This is really not a good sign. So that was.
And meanwhile, I was trying to get her to get excited about going to SDSU Accepted Students Day. And she was like, yeah.
I was like, yeah.
I'm going to try to get the day off of work. And I was like, try, bitch. You better get the day off work. We're going. This is going to be. And then I was trying to get her excited by saying, like, you're my friend's daughter that you know. Like, they want to go too. And Elby was like, cool. Okay. And then I said, well, you don't seem excited about it. And she was like, no, I am.
It's like, yeah.
But what you just weren't feeling it, or you just didn't.
I was just very, very, very deep down. I was just like, I don't know if I want to go here. Like, I was just like, I knew that I should have probably seen it, but I was just like, I don't know.
You just weren't in the right mindset.
I was just like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know.
I think she was feeling like, I'm so tense about finding out about these other schools that I just want to know what my options are before I see it. Before I try to get myself excited about something, I want to know.
It was definitely very much that feeling. I was just kind of like, okay, I need to find out about these other schools. I can't even focus on looking at a school because I have no idea what because none of the UCs had come out yet. So it's like, those are the schools that I want to go to.
Right.
No, I was like, San Diego and Cal Poly are amazing schools, but I was like, I need to end up at a UC. Like, that's just where I want to go. And so it was very hard to kind of be like super excited about going to SDSU because for some reason, as much as I hate to say this, a part of me was like, if I see SDSU, that might be the school that I end up at, and then I'm not going to end up at like a school that I really want to go to. Yes. Like, I was like, I'm worried that I'm going to go and I'm not going to be super excited about it. Yes. And it's like not going to live up to everything, and then I'm going to end up going there.
And then I'm just going to be more sad to go there.
Like, my biggest thing is, what if I don't get into these schools and then I know I'm already going there, so then I can go there knowing that's my school and make myself get excited about it. I was just like, I don't know. Like, it's going to be hard for me to, like, be super, super, super into the school if I just am fully the entire time I'm there thinking about, oh, well, what if I get into Santa Barbara and then I'm going there instead? You know, what if I get into UCLA?
It probably didn't help, too, that, like, for Cal Poly SLO, I was like, oh my God, this could be a totally great school for you. Like, it's really cute and San Luis Obispo. And then when she didn't get in, I was like, oh, that school sucks. Like, you do not want to go there. Like, I don't know why.
It was crazy.
I was like, it's like the smallest city. Everybody.
She was like, you don't want to go there, girl. You don't want to go there, girl. I was like, where did all this hate come from? I was like, what happened to being like, yes, slow. Oh my gosh, you're going to love it there if you go there. Like, we should go visit. And then she was like, yeah, no, fuck that school. She's like, that school sucks.
So then, okay, so like now it's like 1 week later, if that.
Yeah.
And Irvine's coming out.
Yes, this story is so funny. So my mom was out of town in San Diego, and I had no
Going
idea.
to tour the school.
Go herself. She took it upon herself to go look at SCSU. She was sending me all these videos. No, I'm kidding. But
that was when I went to the writers
Yes.
conference. Yeah.
So I had no idea that Irvine was coming out,
but I did.
She did, and she didn't tell me.
So wait, did you tell her about your investigating on our page?
On the Reddit page?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
She didn't mention anything, not on purpose, but
because I would try to talk to her about college, and
I
she
would
told
just be
me,
like, "Nope,
Mom, it really stresses me out."
I was like, "Shut it down, shut it down."
Talk about college all the time, so I was like, "Okay, I got to keep my mouth shut. I'm stressing her out." But meanwhile, I'm checking Reddit every 5 minutes. Everybody's like, "Irvine's out."
So I had no idea. And these schools, they don't send you an email sometimes until like a while after, or sometimes the notification doesn't pop up. And I didn't know Irvine was coming out, so I wasn't like checking my email. I had checked my portal that morning, but they didn't have a date on the portal. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, whatever. And the portal hadn't been down, and normally portals will go down before they release all of them. So I was like, okay, whatever. Like, just doing my daily portal check. It's not happening today. So I go to work, 5 o'clock. I'm at work, go through my whole shift, get home, go to bed, blah, 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 blah.
And that's when I was with Robin in San Diego, so sad because I had given myself a little denial where I was like, okay, maybe she didn't check it before she went to work. But now it was midnight. I was like, she's been home. There's no way. If she got in, we would have heard. She would have FaceTimed me.
Yeah.
She wouldn't have cared that it was midnight. She would have been screaming.
I would have at least sent her a text.
Yeah.
Probably called.
So I woke up the next day and I was like,
it's over.
So bummed.
Mm-hmm. So I wake up in the morning. It's probably like 10:30ish. And obviously, me being me, first thing I do is roll over and pick up my phone because I'm like, all right, what have I missed after sleeping in? And I see on the cover of my phone, on my notifications, like a notification from the admissions office. And I can't see the text of it, but I just see like the thing that's like newly admitted Irvine students. Oh. And I thought that it was just like giving me, because you get a lot of those emails that give you false hope, where they'll start emailing you and they'll be like, congrats on applying to the school.
I know, I've seen those.
Congrats on sending in your application to the school.
Right.
We're so excited to give you your response in 2 weeks.
Right.
Here's some information about our school. So I thought it was one of those emails. I thought they were being like, okay, like, here's what you're going to do if you get into the school. I open it, the email, and I'm just like, whatever. And it says, congratulations on becoming an anteater. And I was like, what? And I look below it, and right below it is an email from the evening before that I didn't see. That was like, there's been an update. And I check my portal, and it's like, congratulations, we're whatever, happy on behalf of blah, blah, blah. You have been accepted to UC Irvine as a sociologist. And I was like, oh my God. And I shot up out of bed and I ran to my dad who was outside on the couch. And I was like, holy shit, I got into UC Irvine. And I can't remember, did I like
Meanwhile, your mom's crying into her breakfast cereal.
She didn't get it. She didn't get it.
Hold on, let's take a quick break and then tell you what happened. Okay, we're back. Yeah, I'm at the book signing table.
Yeah.
Right. John sends me a text. I hadn't looked at my phone. Then John had sent me a text and he said, Elby got some news. And I had already told him, I said, Elby didn't get into Irvine, so don't ask her about it. Don't ask her about it.
Don't bring it up.
Because don't bring it up. Don't ask her because I know she didn't get in. So John goes, she has some news. So I'm like, I know she didn't get in already. And he's like, well, she's feeling emotional and she needs her mom. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. And he was like, yeah, no, like she has some news to break. And then you called me, right?
Well, then I looked at my phone and you had texted
my bad.
me.
I didn't realize that my dad was doing a bit, so I'd already obviously texted her and been like, pick up the phone. I got into Irvine. I got into UC Irvine.
Yeah, she was like, your bitch got into Irvine.
I think I said that.
Yeah, you did.
I was like, hey, yes, you got into Irvine. I was so excited. And that definitely was like a game changer. Like that gave me some hope because I was like, hey, this wasn't all for nothing. You got into a super hard UC that you got straight up rejected from last year. Like
that you almost had no even hope for last year because that's one of the harder ones to get into.
I was like, I'm not even getting into Irvine. Like I can say bye-bye to that.
Oh my God.
So then, so there was a while, like 2 weeks between Irvine and the rest of the schools, though.
Yeah, there was like 2 weeks.
So then Berkeley was next.
Berkeley was next. And I knew that Berkeley was coming out. And I was like, ugh. And my mom and I were just sick to our stomachs the entire day. We were like, it's coming out at 5. And my mom was like, we went to the mall, to take our minds off of it. We're just girls. So we went to do some girly shopping to take our minds off of this impending doom of Berkeley. And we were in the car and my mom was like, all right, we can't have any false positivity. Berkeley's a super hard school to get into.
It's one of the hardest.
If you don't get into Berkeley, that doesn't mean you're getting rejected from other schools, okay? Like, we were both basically set on the fact that I was not getting into Berkeley.
I didn't have hopes for it.
We were not.
But I was still really nervous.
Yeah, I was so nervous. So we didn't know what time it was coming out. We were like, oh, maybe it's coming out at 3, 4, maybe 5. Because they just say, Berkeley, they're bitches. So they just say, yeah, you'll hear late afternoon.
You'll hear
whatever that means. Whatever that means. So we were like, okay, this could be anywhere from like 3 to like 6 o'clock for all we know. So we get home from the mall. I'm just kind of like, in a mood, laying in my bed, just like genuinely being like, all right, so this is probably going to ruin my work shift. It's chill though. It's cool. We'll get through it. And my mom runs in my room at like 3 o'clock almost. And she's like, so Berkeley's out. Berkeley's out. Deep breaths. Berkeley's out.
I'm feeling nervous about this
she's
again.
Like, Berkeley's out. And I was like, oh God. Like I just got a wave of just like, oh no. I was like, oh God. So I open my computer. I'm like going on my portal. And of course, it's not up there yet. It like got released a little later. Like and by a little later, I mean like 4 minutes.
Right.
But I was refreshing, and it was just like, your application is currently under review. I was like, oh my God.
So then Elby was like, are you sure?
Yeah.
So I'm like, let me go back to my boss, Reddit.
So she runs back to her computer and like from her computer sends me screenshots of Reddit of people being like, I can't see mine, but other people being like, it's out. And a lot of people were like, hey, I got it. Like, future bear, and so she comes back in my room, and probably like 4 minutes after she'd originally come into my room, I refreshed the page one more time and it changed, and it was like, see your status update. And I was like, I'm like nervous just thinking about it. Like I have a pit in my stomach just thinking about it. I am sitting there with my laptop on my bed.
And we had not good hopes because we thought because people had already gotten in, we kind of were suspicious that the
maybe
people that got in found out first.
Yeah. So I was just like, oh God, I'm not going to let this ruin my day. I click see your status update. All I see is confetti and congratulations. And I screamed. Like I screamed bloody murder. I was like, I got into Berkeley. And my mom just starts also screaming. And so we're just
I couldn't believe it. I felt like I won the lottery.
Little 5-year-old girls like jumping up and down. We run out of my room and my dad is like, what the hell is going on? And he like sits up from the couch. He's like, what?
He spends a lot of time on the couch in case you didn't. It's our office couch. He likes to lay and do work on his back.
And hang out with people.
Yeah.
It's like Peepo's spot too. But he like stands up and he's like, oh my God, like, are you okay? And I'm just like jumping up and down and I'm like, I got into Berkeley. And I am just screaming.
Just that statement is amazing.
And then I
got into Berkeley.
I was going to say, then I start crying because I was just like, oh my God, I got into Berkeley. Like, I can go to Berkeley. Like, even if I don't get in anywhere else, I'm going to Berkeley. Like, that's crazy.
Right.
It was the best feeling ever. It was amazing. Amazing. Because it was such excitement and like relief at the same time, because I was like, oh my God, like all of this work, all of this like sadness and just despair was not for me to get rejected.
So then 45 minutes later.
Oh my gosh. So I'm like, still just basking in my Berkeley acceptance. And I'm putting on my makeup for my shift because I have to leave soon. And I was like, I need to serve face for my work shift so that I can go in there and be like, guys, I got into Berkeley. And I always like have my phone like on my sink so I can multitask and watch TikToks while I do my makeup. And a little drop down from my email pops up and it's like, there has been an update to your status from UC San Diego. And I was like, what the hell? So I'm like, oh shit, San Diego's out. So I like walk out of my bathroom, concealer half blended. I'm like, San Diego's out. So I bring my laptop was already out on like my dining room table. And I go through, I log into my portal. I'm like, okay, I got into Berkeley. So even if I get rejected, who cares?
Right.
Click it, more confetti, more congratulations. I was like, what the hell? I was like, oh my God, I got into San Diego. So I was like, that's like 3 for 3 on the UCs. Like, gee, oh my gosh. So I was just like on cloud 9 walking into work. I was like, oh my God, like this is crazy. I was like, this is like the cherry on top. Like, I cannot believe this is happening. Like, I feel like I'm dreaming. Like, there's no way.
So that was Friday.
That was Friday.
Was it the following Wednesday
Tuesday.
or the Wednesday after that? Oh,
Tuesday was Santa Barbara. We had known that because they were like, it's April 19th. So I was like, okay. So Tuesday rolls around and I was like, okay, this one I really care about because if I don't get into UCLA, I still really liked Santa Barbara because Berkeley is obviously like, quote unquote, statistically a better school. But Santa Barbara, I really, really, really loved from the get-go. I totally saw myself at that school. I really vibed with the school.
And you have friends there too, right?
I actually don't have
Oh, you don't have friends there?
I have friends at Berkeley, but I don't have friends there.
Elby, do you know what Natalia is doing right? She's going to Santa Barbara City College.
Oh my goodness.
To
Are you
maybe
serious?
transfer in.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Is she
Yeah.
there right now?
No,
Or is
she's going in the fall.
Is she living down there?
She's going to live down there, yeah.
That's so
Got her
fun.
place and everything.
A lot of people do that. A
Yeah.
lot of people have done that.
Yeah.
I've heard great things about it because you basically go to UC Santa Barbara if you're at Santa Barbara Community College. Like, you're basically socially you're at UC Santa Barbara. I've heard it's great.
Yeah.
But I was just like, yeah, I would love to go to Santa Barbara. I would definitely consider Santa Barbara even over Berkeley. I was like, I would consider between the two. So, we did the whole thing. Did we go to the mall?
No, not for Santa
Berkeley.
Barbara.
Not for Santa Barbara. So it came out right at 3 and my mom wasn't even home and I just had my portal open and I knew it was out because it was like, it'll be open after 3 on this time. So I knew it was out, but I was like, I'm going to wait. So my mom walks in the door, probably 3:05. So I wasn't waiting for a while. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to open it. And I opened it again. Congratulations. And I was like, oh my God, I was so excited. I got into Santa Barbara. I was like, this is amazing. This is fantastic. And then we thought, silly us, we thought that UCLA was coming out the next day. So
Well, Reddit thought.
It's
not our fault.
Jesus,
Reddit
Reddit,
misled.
come on now. Give us the right information. So we thought it was coming out on Wednesday. So we were like, okay, cool. So Wednesday rolls around. My mom and I were like, okay, we have to go to the mall again.
Yeah,
because
recreate.
We got to recreate the Berkeley acceptance. Oh, Okay, never mind. This is later. So we go through and we're like refreshing Reddit too once we get home because everybody's freaking out. Doesn't come out. We find out that on leap years, UCLA comes out on a Friday.
Oh, you
Only
kidding?
leap years, 2016, 2020, 2024.
Wow.
Every other year it comes out on Wednesday.
Every other year it
Leap
comes
year
out on Wednesday.
out on Friday.
Yeah, because they want to be different and cool because they're UCLA. Don't rescind me, please. I still want to go to your school. But we were like, it's not coming. Because we were like, if it's not 3, it's 5. So it didn't come out at 3. So 5 o'clock rolls around. Nothing. We're like, man.
And then we heard from their transfer website that it was going to come out on Friday.
It was on Friday.
Okay.
So then
Friday
rolls around. The rest of Wednesday's terrible. Thursday's terrible because all I can think about is UCLA. That is all I can think about. It is consuming me. I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this. And so Friday rolls around. We decided
we'd been to the mall enough
We'd been to the mall enough.
and it wasn't having the same, so we decided to go get our hair done.
We got
our hair
haircuts
did.
instead, just to kind of ease the mind, because I needed a haircut anyways. The bangs were too long. So we went and got our haircut, and I was just like, oh God.
We were like sick with nerves, both of us.
Sick. Because, again, as much as I tried not to have all my eggs in one basket, in my mind, mentally, I was going to UCLA. I was like, it's UCLA or nothing. Like, I'm going to be devastated, and it's going to take me 5 to 7 business days to recover from this before I can even think about where else I'm going. So UCLA rolls around. I'm on the phone with my friend who's also waiting on UCLA, and I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't know what to do. Like, because we also didn't know whether it was coming out at 3 or 5. So 3 o'clock rolls around, it's not out. So we're like, okay, this is the moment. It is coming out at 5 p.m. So I was like, oh God. Like, I've never been more nervous for anything. I wasn't even this nervous for Berkeley. Like, I was just like, oh my God, like I can't handle this. It was so bad. I was like so nervous, sitting in my bed waiting, like shaking while I'm holding my phone, like refreshing Reddit because she plagues me with the Reddit addiction. So I'm like refreshing Reddit to see all these people being like, can UCLA release their decisions, whatever. So finally it's out, and I bring my laptop to the dining room. I'm like, all right, this is it. Like, if I don't get in, it's okay. And this is what I had forgotten to mention. I had gone on Berkeley the night before because I was looking at my financial aid package, and I found out the night before UCLA that I got into Berkeley as a spring 2025 admit and not a fall admit. So I was like, I'm not going to Berkeley if I get rejected from UCLA because I am not doing another semester here.
Right.
I'm like, I'm going to Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
So I knew where I was going if I got rejected. But that was super disappointing because I was like, oh God, like if Berkeley took me as a spring applicant, is UCLA only takes fall applicants. So I have less of a chance of getting in there because they don't take spring. So it's either they want me for fall or they don't want me at all. So I have my computer open and my mom is like standing next to me, and I'm sure most people on here saw the video. But she's standing next to me, and I was just like stalling. I was like, I can't.
And then your friend, Bella, Julie's daughter.
Yes, Bella
was
like, well, no, she hadn't talked to me about it yet.
I thought she told you to make the video.
Oh, yes. She had told me to film a video. So I like propped my phone up on my computer, barely thinking about it.
And she was like, okay, if it's bad news, forget.
Delete.
Delete.
Right.
Getting rid of it. So I set my phone up and I'm like shaking, and I'm like, okay, click it. I just see at the top the little hashtag, it's like hashtag Bruin Bound. It says congratulations. Didn't even process that. I saw that and I didn't even process it. I had to read what it said.
Right.
I just read congratulations, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm going to UCLA. And that's when I just started jumping up and down, screaming, freaking out.
Best moment of your life?
Best moment of my entire life.
Highlight
of my whole life. Like, I was just like, oh my God. Oh my God.
We were
like,
right there with you when we saw that video.
Do you think you felt that way even more because of all the insane amounts of disappointment you had before?
Yes, because it was just like, as I said, it was so hard to feel confident about what I was doing when it did not go right last time. Because that really showed me, I was like, there is no guarantee at all. Even if you are a good student, you get good grades, you have extracurriculars, you write good essays,
Right.
you still could not get in.
Yes.
And did I have a solid feeling-ish because I'd gotten into other schools? Yes. But still, I was like, this is UCLA we're talking about.
Right.
Like, I can get rejected from UCLA and get into Santa Barbara. So I was just like, oh my God. I was like, I can't.
Hey, let's take a couple of questions before
Okay.
we wrap the show.
Perfect.
Okay, well, Carrie Kibler just says, just tell her we love her and value her opinion. Christina has a question, but it's irrelevant. She wants to know if you're going to commute or stay on campus. You're staying on campus, of course.
For sure. Got to live that dorm life.
Lisa Smith Hamilton wants to know, what advice would you offer a junior heading into their senior year?
I would definitely say do not overwork yourself for senior year because that's what I did. I added a bunch of classes that were kind of unnecessary, you know, AP Physics, whatever. Did they look okay? Sure, but I didn't really do well in the class, so in the end, it didn't really help me out that much. Do not, like, overwork yourself too much in senior year. Like, still try, because, again, if we're talking college talk, they're mostly looking at junior year and sophomore year. They're not really looking as much at your senior year. So if you like feel confident about what you did in junior year, try to obviously keep up the things that you were doing. Like if you're at a job or you do volunteering or you have an internship or whatever you're doing, obviously keep that up, but don't like overload yourself with classes and don't stress out. And don't apply with a super impacted major.
Right.
Do not do that at all. I would not recommend.
This is not, Lisa also wants to know who's your favorite sibling. Haha, don't answer that. Also.
I get asked this at work and I don't have a favorite sibling and nobody believes me. Like,
You like them both in
I like them both in different ways.
Yeah. I think this is really important, and this just happened in our house. Elby was giving some advice to Xander, who's really freaking out about his AP has an AP test on Wednesday. And I thought Elby gave him some really good advice. And this is AP season right now, so you guys are going to hear this, and some of your kids are going to have AP tests coming up.
Please take it from me, who took 10 APs. They don't matter at all.
Wow.
They do not matter. Don't stress about your AP test. They do not matter. If you're going to go the route that I did, they matter even less because
no, they did matter a lot.
Well, listen,
for
I'm
your
saying
route.
You don't have to get 5s on all your AP tests.
I see.
Senior year, I used the APs that I use, got 3s senior year, got some 3s junior year, got a 3 sophomore year, never got a 5 on an AP test, by the way. I did not get any 5s. I got 3s and 4s, mostly 4s. But I also, especially senior year, got all 3s. They really don't matter that much. They really don't. Like, colleges are not going to deny you because you did not get a 5 on an AP test. That is, like, not something that they're looking at as much. People are always like, oh, you have to get straight 5s to, like, get into a good college. No, you don't.
Right.
If you have something else going for you, if you're a well-rounded student, if you do well in the actual class itself, you're fine. You're fine.
That's a good note to go out on.
Like, just my biggest thing, and it's hard to listen to in the moment, obviously, when you're going in, taking the test, especially if it's your second AP test. It's hard to not be nervous, but you just you have to go into it being like, I know what I know. There's no way for me to know more than what I know, and it's going to be fine. And there's probably going to be stuff on the test that I don't know. And guess what? That's fine because they're designed to be like that. So it doesn't matter.
Well, it's awesome.
Yay,
Elby,
Elby.
we're so happy for you.
Thanks for joining us and
Yes.
giving us the whole experience.
Elby, I think you should be a
course.
college counselor when you grow up.
Dream job. Forgot to mention that. dream job.
She could. I told her she should do tours at UCLA.
Yeah, you should.
And tell people about her experience.
I would do that, and my friend does that too.
That'd be fun.
Loves it. Says it's really fun.
Well, you have to come back and tell us after you get settled in at your dorm.
I will.
Come back and tell us how
college
how
life.
it's going.
Hashtag college life.
Yeah.
All right, Elby. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so
in.
much.
We love
for
you.
having me.
We love you.
Love y'all.
Congratulations.
Thank
Yep.
you so much.
All right. Bye, bitch.
Bye, guys.